In just a few hours, we will have a new president and vice president, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, taking the oath of office. And all morning long, we're taking you through today's big events leading up to their swearing in, including President Trump's send-off, which is supposed to be happening here in just a matter of minutes.
Plus, how you can weigh in on new legislation from home that would allow restaurants and businesses to open to some indoor customers immediately.
And snow in the forecast. When and where you could wake up to some flakes falling, and we're not talking about the mountains.
This is Q13 News This Morning.
Wow, we have a very busy morning. Great to have you here on this Wednesday. I'm Liz DeWicki.
And I'm Bill Wixie. And first, we begin with a look at our forecast. Tim Joyce has that. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, not so much fog out there, but we do have some incoming clouds that are going to be with us for most of the day for today. Maybe a couple sprinkles along the coast, but that's pretty much about it. Not even all that much fog, and most of our chilliest spots are right around freezing in the Bremerton area so far this morning. But 38 in Everett, areas around Federal Way and Tacoma right now are in the lower 30s, so it is chilly in the south end of the Sound. Not much for sunshine today. We'll keep our temperatures on the chilly side as well. Only low 40s for highs around Puyallup and areas around Tacoma and Lacey. Otherwise, though, tonight, incoming showers, but temperatures above freezing. We'll talk about the chance for some rain tomorrow coming up in less than 5 minutes. Adam, what are you seeing so far on the roads?
Overall, enjoying what we're finding on our roads. Not a whole lot to really slow us down. Moving into downtown Seattle, I-5 corridor checks in the clear. And I'd say that we're going to find movers through Tacoma right now and also out of Puyallup in fine order. Very little to actually stand in our way. Valley Freeway, I-5 also checking out okay, and our mountain passes bare and dry so far to start us off. Guys, back over to you.
This morning, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will be sworn in as President and Vice President of the United States in our country's 59th inauguration. Both will take the oath of office in just a few hours.
Yeah, but first they are going to church. In about 45 minutes, Biden and Harris will be at St. Matthew the Apostle in Washington, D.C. And then around 7:30 our time, they are expected to arrive at the Capitol steps for the inauguration. The swearing-in ceremony will start around 8:15. Lady Gaga singing the national anthem and a poetry reading from Amanda Gorman, the first National Youth Poet Laureate, around 9 o'clock. Harris will be sworn in, followed by Biden, soon to be the 46th President of the United States, and then he will give his inauguration address after that.
And today's ceremonies will be much smaller because of health risks and the recent attack on the Capitol. Only 1,000 to 2,000 guests will be on hand compared to the hundreds of thousands that attended the last few inaugurations. Everything happening inside a tightly secured perimeter protected by 25,000 National Guard troops. And when Joe Biden is sworn in as president, he is hitting the ground running with a big to-do list on day one. He's expected to announce today that the U.S. is rejoining both the Paris Climate Accord and the World Health Organization. Also on the list, a national mask mandate on federal property, restarting Iran nuclear negotiations, extending pandemic eviction bans and student loan payments, and protections against deportation for people who came to the country illegally as children.
5:02 happening right now as we prepare for the inauguration of Joe Biden. We are also watching pictures at the White House where President Donald Trump is expected to leave at any moment. This is a live shot here on the lawn outside of the White House. That is Marine One. It just landed moments ago. We are expecting the president to leave the White House board Marine One, fly to nearby Joint Base Andrews, where we expect the president to give some final remarks there. Then he and First Lady Melania Trump will fly to Mar-a-Lago, Florida, where they will begin their lives or resume their lives as private citizens again. So watching all of this happen live from the White House this morning.
Okay, so as we watch that situation at the White House any moment now, President Trump will depart the White House for the final time.
Yeah, he will not be taking part in today's inauguration.
So we want to bring in Brandy Cruz right now. Brandy, you are tracking the president's movements today. We do expect to hear him speak one last time as president later this hour.
And we'll see what message he gives to the country. We don't know at this point how formal those remarks are going to be at Joint Base Andrews. We know that the president already delivered sort of a formal farewell to the American people yesterday. Here's part of that.
4 years ago, we launched a great national effort to rebuild our country, to renew its spirit, and to restore the allegiance of this government to its citizens. In short, we embarked on a mission to make America great again for all Americans. As I conclude my term as the 45th President of the United States, I stand before you truly proud of what we have achieved together. We did what we came here to do, and so much more.
Of note is the fact that the president did not mention his successor, Joe Biden, in those farewell remarks to the American people. I guess fitting, considering he's not attending any of the ceremonies today. We will see whether he mentions Joe Biden and gives Biden and Harris maybe a good luck on his way out. And again, we are watching here Marine One on the front lawn of the White House. The president will depart. It'll happen very quickly. Get on Marine One there. Head to Joint Base Andrews, where he's expected to give a farewell to members of the armed services, also to members of his staff. And then he will get on Air Force One and fly to Mar-a-Lago, where he's expected to reside full-time following his presidency. So we are, again, waiting to hear from the president. One thing I want to note about this morning, Bill and Liz, for folks who are watching, I'm sure you've seen many inauguration days over the years. This is going to be very, very different, both in size and scale. We're also going to see things happen very quickly. And of course, a lot of the pomp and circumstance we're used to seeing with the former president and the to-be president interacting, we're not going to see that this time around.
Yeah, and it is pretty remarkable. This president is not going to stay on site for this inauguration. That is one of the things that will be very different. President Trump this morning was busy again rescinding an executive order that he had issued years earlier to bar former White House employees from lobbying the government even after they leave their jobs. And this was after 143 clemency grants were issued yesterday by the president.
Yeah, and we don't know whether to expect anything blockbuster from the president in his final hours. Remember, he is president of the United States until noon Eastern time, 9 a.m. our time. And he has the power of the presidency until then. You had mentioned the pardons and commutations. There were a lot of them, were given to folks who'd been advocated on behalf of, criminal justice reform advocates. But he did have some for close advisors, like former advisor Steve Bannon, for instance. There was a lot of speculation in the press that the president would issue himself or family members preemptive pardons. According to Fox News, they're saying sources saying that is not going to happen. But I guess until 9 a.m. Our time, anything is on the table.
Which we will be watching. Also notable pardons overnight, rapper Lil Wayne and former Detroit Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick as well. So a lot going on in just the past 24 hours, and we'll be monitoring these last few hours as well. Brandy, thank you. Meanwhile, today we're expecting to learn more about the arrest of a man involved in unrest at the Capitol in Olympia. That man has been charged for breaching the governor's mansion and other incidents from January 6th. We're told the Washington State Patrol will brief us on more details on the arrest this morning. Meanwhile, a U.S. soldier facing terrorism charges over alleged plots to blow up New York City's 9/11 memorial. Investigators say the 20-year-old Ohio man discussed plans online to blow up the site and other landmarks. He allegedly talked about attacking U.S. soldiers in the Middle East.
Today marks 1 year since the first known case of coronavirus was reported in the U.S. here in Snohomish County, and since then it's hit every county in the country, infecting 1 in every 14 Americans. And right now in Washington State, there are nearly 292,000 confirmed cases of COVID. That's over 2,000 more cases than before the MLK Day holiday. Over 16,000 people have been hospitalized in our state. More than 3,900 people have died. This as the U.S. surpassed 400,000 deaths from COVID-19. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris spent the day before the inauguration yesterday honoring the lives lost to COVID. Cities across the U.S. lighting up buildings and monuments to remember those we've lost. And Biden saying we must come together as a nation to heal. Closer to home, I want to show you this. Seattle showing its support as well. The Space Needle, Lumen Field, Climate Pledge Arena, all lit up as part of that memorial.
Well, you are invited this morning to make your voice heard on a plan to immediately reopen businesses like restaurants and gyms in our state. John Hopperstad has more on that bill. And, John, if passed, that would override the governor's restrictions.
Yeah, Liz, and due to rising COVID numbers, the governor recently rolled back all counties and regions in our state to phase 1, which does ban indoor dining, keeps places like movie theaters closed as well. Gyms have been allowed to reopen with limited capacity, 1 person allowed per 500 square feet. But phase 2 would allow restaurants and other businesses to reopen at 25% capacity. COVID cases, hospitalizations have to hit certain numbers to get a region to phase 2, but this bill would override that and allow businesses to reopen right away. Supporters say too many of these small businesses have been forced to close, and many more are on their last legs.
This is crushing for folks that have these small businesses, that work in these small businesses. We're hearing from that around the state, and the despair, the frustration, and they're on it. And I think it's legitimate to say the governor has overstepped here.
It should be noted the Infectious Diseases Society of America says going to places like restaurants, gyms, and movie theaters does remain a high-risk activity. The public hearing to move all phases to phase 2, however, starts in just a few hours at 8 o'clock this morning. If you want to join the conversation, we've posted a link on our website at q13fox.com/links, guys.
John, thank you. And let's also get a check of that forecast this morning. Hi, Tim.
Hi there. Yeah, nice and dry around Olympia. Lacey looking good this morning. Not too much for some fog cover. All the way up towards Whatcom County here, Peace Arch Park. Just some cloudy skies. Bellingham checking in the 40s this morning. Olympia a little chillier there, 34, 31 reported at the Bremerton Airport in the last hour. We've got incoming clouds today. Be with us for most of the day, but we do see a nice and dry day. The front actually is well up to the north of us, and it will be dropping down as we get into Thursday itself. So kind of timing things out in our future cast today, just those cloudy skies. Temperatures on the chilly side, kind of mid to low 40s around the region. And again, not a whole lot of sunshine out there. Sun is going down closer and closer to 5 p.m. So we are talking about looking at least longer light hours, even if it's not actual sunshine today. Going on a mountain hike, do watch out. Still a lot of debris on those trails. And notice the temperature trend getting colder, especially in the mountains and foothills, and even colder in the lowlands as well. In fact, snow levels on Friday down to 1,500 feet. So the rain on Thursday, all rain for the lowlands. We are tracking some changes, though, getting into Sunday with that possibility of some low elevation snow. We'll have those details coming up in less than 10 minutes. Adam, what are you seeing on the roads?
Yeah, Tim, having a gander at what's going on in the South Sound at this point, we check out what's going on for Tacoma, northbound I-5. Plenty of volume, lots of cars headed out so far this morning, but not a lot to really stand in our way in terms of collisions or disabled vehicles. We find what happens for drivers in and through Tacoma, as well as Puyallup, and the Valley Freeway rolls out pretty fair, pretty easy in past 410. No major consequences for us at this point. Mountain passes, Stevens, Snoqualmie, White Pass, all so far starting out bare and dry and no restrictions. Good time to be getting across those mountains, east or west. I think looking pretty sharp yet. Guys, back over to you.
Just ahead, how much more you could be paying at the pump because of a proposed tax hike.
Plus, local women reacting to this Inauguration Day. Coming up, we're going to tell you how the swearing in of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris is really going to have impacts on kids across the world.
Welcome back, taking you live right now to the White House, where we have just watched President Donald Trump board Marine One walking across the South Lawn here. Now that looks like other members of the Trump family that I can't see from here. That might be, I'm actually not sure who that is, but you definitely see some porters there with baggage as well. So the president came out of the door there, walked over to where some reporters were, did talk to them very briefly, then boarded Marine One here. We are expecting President Trump and the First Lady, Melania Trump, to fly from the White House here, departing for the very last time, and fly to Joint Base Andrews, which is very nearby here, just outside of the Washington, D.C. metro area. That is where we have Air Force One standing by and waiting to then, there's a live shot of Air Force One. We do believe that President Donald Trump will actually make some remarks before actually boarding Air Force One. You can see a crowd there gathered of supporters waving American flags. We're not exactly sure how long the president may speak here, but once he wraps up his remarks, he and the First Lady will board Air Force One and depart for Mar-a-Lago in Florida, where they will resume their lives as private citizens. The president, of course, retains a significant amount of support, so unclear his future at this moment. He has discussed, another run for office, though he does potentially face a Senate trial after being impeached by the House. But I think we can go back now live to the lawn there of the White House. You can see Marine One beginning to start its rotors. We are expecting this journey to be very brief, flying from the South Lawn here of the White House, departing for Joint Base Andrews. Again, this is the last time that President Donald Trump will leave the White House officially as the 45th president of the United States. We also have a ground crew from Fox there as well. We know that we're working to turn around some of the video there of the actual close-up shot of the president and the First Lady leaving the White House here. So as soon as we have that video, we will definitely turn that around. But as you can see, at any moment, Marine One will be departing as we pull back here from the South Lawn of the White House. That on the left side of your screen. On the right side of your screen, we are looking at Joint Base Andrews. That is Air Force One. So the plan here, this should take just a couple of minutes, to be very honest, to fly from the White House South Lawn to Joint Base Andrews. There's the podium where President Donald Trump will make some remarks. Again, we're not sure how long those remarks will be. We're not sure exactly what he will say, but we are waiting for that as well. So we're going to keep watching this for you, and as soon as things do develop here, and there you go, there's Marine One taking off from the South Lawn of the White House here, departing for the very last time, the 45th President of the United States leaving the White House on Marine One, headed to Joint Base Andrews, where he will board Air Force One for the last time as the 45th President of the United States and fly to his resort Mar-a-Lago in Florida to begin his new life after the presidency, post-presidency as well. So we're going to keep watching this. As soon as we get some of that ground tape turned around, we will share that with you. But a historic moment here, especially because normally a president, attends the inauguration of their successor, but not happening in this case. Guys?
He'll be in Florida by the time it sounds like President-elect Joe Biden will be taking that oath of office, and Vice President Mike Pence will be at that inauguration today. Meanwhile, today's historic inauguration, marking the first time a woman becomes vice president. And the fact that she is a woman of color is inspiring people all over the world. Ellie Bradley tracking reaction with a few right here at home. Hi, Ellie.
Yeah, hi, good morning, Liz. You can really feel the excitement in the air here. And we know that people here in Seattle and across the Pacific Northwest are really excited about this new administration. More specifically, Kamala Harris's role in this administration, of course, as the first woman vice president, a big moment here. Now, we want to share with you about the co-executive director of a nonprofit. It's a women's nonprofit that supports women. Now, she says that Harris's new role is really going to have a big impact on what women do with their lives. That's a huge thing, a huge, profound thing to say. And this isn't just a big moment for women in the United States. It is a huge moment for women across the world.
There's a lot of young women across the globe that are being marginalized and are being oppressed and are being told they cannot even go to school. And here we have the Vice President of the United States of America. It's a woman, a Black woman, an Asian woman. That is historic. It brings tears, it brings tears to my eyes.
Goosebumps all over my body right now. And I'm just so proud. It's just, Kamala is going to be fantastic. Joe's going to be great.
So you just heard from Bridget Jensen there, the blonde woman. Now, she was saying it was such a historic moment for her and her sister that they actually planned to be at this inauguration, of course, happening in our nation's capital today. However, because of COVID and safety precautions, they decided to cancel their trip. They're really disappointed, but her and her sister Gretchen say they're still going to celebrate and really ring in this new administration. So coming up, we're going to tell you exactly how these sisters plan to celebrate. I think it'll bring a smile to your face this morning, but also how they're talking about how women, young girls are going to be watching this and what they're really watching for. We'll have those details here for you in the next hour. That's the latest here in Seattle. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
Ellie, thank you. Meanwhile, business owners in Snohomish County this morning are being thrown another lifeline as COVID-19 infections go up.
And this is the third round of relief for struggling businesses, part of the federal CARES Act. This money will cover grants of up to $25,000 to help save local businesses. That includes veteran-owned Zurus Donuts in Linwood. The parking lot out front stays empty, forcing hours and expenses to be cut.
If we get help, we do. If not, I still try to, make a way to where I can survive without it.
Grants range from $5,000 to $25,000 for local businesses with less than 20 full-time employees that saw revenue drop at least 25% due to the pandemic. And for those who applied for help last year but were not selected, those applications have been resubmitted automatically. And if you want to apply for a grant for your small business, you can check out our website, Q13fox.com. We have a link there. The deadline for applications is February 2nd.
Well, you could be paying more at the pump if proposed tax hikes on gasoline pass the legislature. It could cost drivers in Washington state nearly $1 per gallon in taxes and fees alone. According to the Seattle Times, an 18-cent tax hike would go toward road projects and electrifying diesel-powered ferries. It would come over 2 years, raising the total tax to 85 cents per gallon, the highest in the U.S. Another proposed carbon tax could add another 15 cents per gallon. All right, coming up here, question. Do you ever join a streaming service just to binge watch a show and then you immediately cancel the service right after?
Been there.
I'm guilty as well. You are not alone, apparently, how we're all doing that, but it could lower prices for streaming services in the future.
Also, a past iPhone feature Apple is considering bringing back. We'll get into that.
Alrighty, topping consumer news this morning. I want to start with a scam. The BBB is warning to be on the lookout for inauguration memorabilia counterfeits. The agency is saying poor quality, super low prices, always signs that something might be a scam. One legit site for these items is the Presidential Inaugural Committee store online. Meanwhile, Costco rolling out more curbside pickup locations through Instacart. There's a $10 pickup fee with each order, and it's also a $100 minimum. Hey, Apple is thinking about bringing back Touch ID. It is testing a version of Touch ID under the phone's display. The fingerprint sensor had kind of been phased out in recent years, but Face ID has been frustrating because of our masks, during the pandemic. Hey, how often do you binge watch a show on a streaming service and then you immediately cancel that service once you are finished? Well, almost half of people surveyed say they do this. Analysts say because of this, expect possibly more competitive pricing and improved user experience. Companies are really trying to keep subscribers. Bill?
They hear us. They really hear us.
Finally, yeah.
All right, still ahead this morning, a renewed effort to split Washington state into two. What's next for a proposal to create Liberty State?
Also, we are awaiting President Trump's remarks from Joint Base Andrews. He's just departed the White House en route. We will bring those remarks to you live when they happen. Also, our security expert Jeffrey Slotnick joins us with more on measures being taken to keep today's inauguration safe and what has changed there at the Capitol since the siege on January 6th. Stick around.
The sun shining on the U.S. Capitol, a sea of red, white, and blue flags waving as the nation prepares to welcome a new president. In just a few hours, Joe Biden will fulfill a dream that he's had since he says he was a senior in high school.
But as of right now, President Trump is still leading the nation and making use of his last few hours in office. We're taking a look at the list of people he pardoned.
This is Q13 News This Morning.
Hi there, welcome back. Just about 5:30. I'm Liz Dwicki.
I'm Bill Wixie. Let's get a check of our forecast right now with Tim Joyce. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, pleasant day yesterday. Pretty pleasant day ahead as well. We've got incoming clouds, but the showers stay away from us until well after dinner time tonight. Even along the coast, it's going to take a little while to move the precipitation in. That's mostly a tomorrow thing. Today, not even much for some fog out there. Just a lot of cloud cover this morning. 40 in Bellingham. We are tracking some freezing temperatures around Bremerton at 32 this morning, but really just some cloudy skies here over the Emerald City. Don't need that hooded jacket today. You'll need it tomorrow, though. Today, that warm weather gear comes in handy if you're in those areas in the 30s. Sunglasses, kind of optional. Not much for sun breaks today on this Wednesday. We'll talk about the soggy conditions tomorrow coming up in just a couple minutes. Adam, what's going on with the commute?
Yeah, Tim, so far this morning, we're off to a great start. Not a whole lot to really hold us back. Tacoma starts off with that easier volume from 16 in towards the Dome and the Valley Freeway. Out of Puyallup, both kind of pile in at this point with, I'd say, the usual average start. Guys, back over to you.
Adam, thank you. Happening right now. We are just watching as Marine One has landed at Joint Base Andrews carrying President Donald Trump, First Lady Melania Trump. Let's take the live shot full here. You can see zoomed in the Marine One has indeed stopped. We saw the President, the First Lady depart from the White House moments ago, take the brief helicopter flight from the South Lawn of the White House to Joint Base Andrews. That is where Air Force One is now waiting. We are expecting the President to make some remarks here. There's some supporters who have gathered as well, and then board Air Force One for the last time as the 45th president and fly with the First Lady to Mar-a-Lago, Florida. I will say that briefly before the president did depart the White House, he did stop and just very briefly talk with reporters, and we're just getting that tape turned around right now. But I listened in briefly on that, and he said that it's been an honor to serve. It's been an amazing 4 years. He said they'd accomplished a lot, and then he said hopefully it is not a long-term goodbye, saying that he hopes to see everyone again soon. And then he and Melania Trump got aboard Marine One as you're looking live here at Joint Base Andrews as the door begins to open here. And as you can see, the president, soon to be former president, about to get off Marine One here. And we're going to watch this live as it happens, guys, here in the live center. So we'll keep watching it with you.
And we're also expecting to hear from the president, as you mentioned, Travis, making those final remarks at Joint Base Andrews today, overnight, making a lot of moves in his final hours as president. He made several dozen pardons, among 70. Steve Bannon, Lil Wayne, dozens of others that had been sentenced, commutations as early this morning, as well as he prepared to leave office. Interesting, though, to note that he, as we have mentioned here, will not be attending, as you can see, the inauguration of President-elect Joe Biden, set to take place at 9 a.m. our time today. At that point, it sounds like he will be back in Florida and Palm Beach.
Trump, the first president in 150 years to not attend the inauguration of his successor. Andrew Johnson skipped the inauguration of Ulysses S. Grant in 1869. In fact, 3 presidents in history skipped the inauguration of their successor, but this is the first time that this has happened in 150 years. And in every case, these were huge ideological chasms between the two candidates. As this candidate leaves office, it was the same for John Adams, his son John Quincy Adams, and Andrew Johnson, who, like Trump, was impeached while in office. In fact, Andrew Johnson lost the Democratic nomination and didn't even get to run for president for a second term. And there's President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump preparing to make a few remarks here. And as he does, it will be his final remarks as President of the United States, as Joe Biden will be sworn in as the 46th President of the United States at noon Eastern time, about 9 o'clock our time.
And we also want to bring in Brandy Cruz to talk about this as well, because Brandy, you have spent the last 4 years, we have spent the last 4 years talking a lot about the president. And I think this morning we're seeing a lot of people really talking and thinking about the legacy of President Donald Trump. And I'm curious to know what your thoughts are about that as we're watching these final hours play out here.
Well, I mean, this is a presidency that a lot of people never thought would happen. If you remember back to the 2016 campaign, at the beginning, I will say to a lot of people, he was almost sort of a joke. You know, the media carried his events live for the sake of ratings, and really in a lot of ways, the media led to President Trump becoming the president of the United States just by the amount of coverage he got in comparison to other candidates. And certainly the last 4 years have been unusual. And we'll actually, let's listen in to the president here.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. And we love you, and I can tell you that from the bottom of my heart. This has been an incredible 4 years. We've accomplished so much together. I want to thank all of my family and my friends and my staff and so many other people for being here. I want to thank you for your effort, your hard work. People have no idea how hard this family worked. They worked, and they worked for you. They could have had a much easier life, but they did a fantastic job. I just want to thank all of you, everyone. I want to thank Mark Meadows, who's here, someplace right there. I want to thank Mark. But it's been something very special. We've accomplished a lot. Our First Lady has been a woman of great grace and beauty and dignity. And so popular with the people, so popular with the people. In fact, honey, would you like to say a few words, please?
Being your First Lady was my greatest honor. Thank you for your love and your support. You will be in my thoughts and prayers. God bless you all. God bless your families. And God bless this beautiful nation. Thank you.
What else has to be said, right? But what we've done, that's true, honey, great job. What we've done has been amazing by any standard. We rebuilt the United States military. We created a new force called Space Force. That in itself would be a major achievement for a regular administration. We were not a regular administration. We took care of the vets, 91% approval rating. They've never had that before. The vets have given us, the VA, the vets have given us an approval rating like has never been before. We took care of our vets and our beautiful vets. They were very badly treated before we came along. And as you know, we get them great service, and we pick up the bill, and they can go out and they can see a doctor if they have to wait long periods of time. We got it so that we can sadly get rid of people that don't treat our vets properly. We didn't have any of those rights before when I came on, so our vets are happy, our people are happy, our military is thrilled. We also got tax cuts, the largest tax cut and reform in the history of our country by far. I hope they don't raise your taxes. But if they do, I told you so. And if you look at the regulations, which I consider the regulation cuts to be maybe even more important, that's why we have such good and have had such good job numbers. The job numbers have been absolutely incredible. When we started, had we not been hit by the pandemic, we would have had numbers that would never have been seen. Already our numbers are the best ever. If you look at what happened until February a year ago, our numbers were at a level that nobody had ever seen before. And even now, we really built it twice. We got hit. Nobody blames us for that. The whole world got hit, and then we built it again. And now the stock market is actually substantially higher than it was at its higher point prior to the pandemic. So it's really, you could say we built it twice. And you're going to see incredible numbers start coming in if everything is sort of left alone. Be careful. Very complex. Be careful. But you're going to see some incredible things happening. And remember us when you see these things happening, if you would. Remember us, because I'm looking at elements of our economy that are set to be a rocket ship up. It's a rocket ship up. We have the greatest country in the world. We have the greatest economy in the world. And as bad as the pandemic was, we were hit so hard, just like the entire world was hit so hard. Places that thought they got away with it didn't get away with it. They're suffering right now. We did something that is really considered a medical miracle. They're calling it a miracle, and that was the vaccine. We got the vaccine developed in 9 months instead of 9 years or 5 years or 10 years or a long time. It was supposed to take a long time, many, many years to develop a vaccine. We have 2 out. We have another one coming almost immediately. And it really is a great achievement. So you should start to see really good numbers over the next few months. I think you're going to see those numbers really skyrocket downward. And I can only say this, we have worked hard. We've left it all, as the athletes would say, we've left it all in the field. We don't have to We don't have to come and say, we'll never say in a month when we're sitting in Florida, we're not going to be looking at each other and saying, you know, if we only worked a little bit harder, you can't work harder. And we had a lot of obstacles, and we went through the obstacles, and we just got 75 million votes, and that's a record in the history of sitting presidents. That's an all-time record by a lot, by many millions. In the history of sitting presidents, it's been really just an honor. One of the things we're very, very proud of is the selection of almost 300 federal judges and 3 great Supreme Court justices. That's a very big number. That's a record-setting number. And so we've done a lot, and there's still things to do. The first thing we have to do is pay our respects and our love to the incredible people and families who suffered so gravely from the China virus. It's a horrible thing that was put onto the world. We all know where it came from, but it's a horrible, horrible thing. So be very careful. Be very, very careful. But we want to pay great love to all of the people that have suffered, including families who have suffered so gravely. So with that, I just want to say you are amazing people. This is a great, great country. It is my greatest honor and privilege to have been your president. I will always fight for you. I will be watching, I will be listening, and I will tell you that the future of this country has never been better. I wish the new administration great luck and great success. I think they'll have great success. They have the foundation to do something really spectacular. And again, we put it in a position like it's never been before, despite the worst plague to hit since, I guess you'd say 1917, over 100 years ago. And despite that, the things that we've done have been just incredible, and I couldn't have done it without you. So just a goodbye. We love you. We will be back in some form. And again, I want to just, in leaving, I want to thank our Vice President, Mike Pence, and Karen. I want to thank Congress, because we really worked well with Congress, at least certain elements of Congress. But we really did. We've gotten so much done that nobody thought would be possible. But I do want to thank Congress. And I want to thank all of the great people of Washington, D.C., all of the people that we worked with to put this miracle together. So have a good life. We will see you soon. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
And there you have it. Donald J. Trump, the 45th President of the United States, giving his final remarks as president, about to board Air Force One for a final time, where he and the First Lady will fly to Mar-a-Lago in Florida, where they are expected to live post-presidency. It was an upbeat speech to the president in front of a crowd of staff members and supporters. He touted some of the achievements of the past 4 years, things like deregulation, the economy being in very good shape, certainly before the onset of the pandemic. Talked about Space Force, getting a lot of federal judges in place. And also we heard from the president there what I think were probably his kindest remarks in regard to the incoming administration. Still did not mention Biden by name, but said he wishes them great luck and great success, saying that they are set up to be successful. And ending, he had a part there where he said, Bill and Liz, and I thought this was poignant, we were not a regular administration. I think every American can acknowledge that Donald Trump was certainly not a regular president. And we'll stay on this shot as the president and the first lady wave their final goodbyes there to the crowd gathered at Joint Base Andrews. We know that what's happening today is very unusual. For those of you who have been around for inaugurations of presidents in the past, a lot of the pomp and circumstance of the day is gone because much of that involved the former president and the to-be president and first ladies sharing some moments together of togetherness at the White House and then certainly at the inauguration. That is not going to happen this time around. President Trump obviously leaving the White House long before Joe Biden takes the oath of office. Bill, Liz?
You know, Brandy, I know we were talking about this and sort of alluding to it before we heard in President Trump's own words. He was touting what he believes is his legacy. He was talking military achievements and, as you mentioned, tax cuts and, you know, the Supreme Court justices and the federal court justices, or the federal court judges, rather. I want to get back to this. What do you think his legacy is going to be, you know, as history looks back on this past 4 years?
Yeah, well, he was an unusual president, so I think that in and of itself is part of the legacy. But he's also a twice impeached president. That's never happened before in this country. And also, Liz, I think part of his legacy is yet to be written because as he boards Air Force One to depart and head to Mar-a-Lago, there is still the specter of a Senate trial and whether he will be officially convicted by the Senate. Which would be a huge part, obviously, of his lasting legacy. And so we are still waiting to see how the Senate plans to handle that. There you have the president on the steps of Air Force One. This is the final time that you will see this image. We've seen him and the First Lady standing there many, many times over the past 4 years, waving. And as they dock in, that is the final time that you will see them doing that. And on the legacy, Liz, you know, I think there's other things that need to be addressed as well. How the president conducted himself in speech, both in written speech on Twitter. He now leaves the presidency, obviously, without a Twitter account. And I know that sounds like something small to bring up, but this is a president who relied on social media, really the first president to communicate and bypass the press and speak directly to the American people. And I think there's a lot to be said about how that perhaps contributed to what we saw at the nation's capital on January 6th. And as we reflect on the legacy, and I think in 10 years and 20 years, a lot of it will focus on how his time in office culminated and in the violence at the Capitol and on the impeachment and whatever happens in the Senate. But he did bring a couple of things, and I think he deserves credit for some of these things, like Veterans Affairs. That was in shambles, really, and veterans were not getting the care they deserved. And in a lot of ways, the Trump administration improved that. You cannot knock what he did with the economy. And for conservatives, what happened with the Supreme Court, certainly if Democrats don't go in and pack the court, you're going to have a conservative majority on the U.S. Supreme Court for years. And there you have, I believe, the president's children boarding Air Force One there, heading to Mar-a-Lago as well.
Well, I mean, when you talk about that many Supreme Court justices and, you know, that kind of sway that he was able to get into the Supreme Court, that seems like a very lasting legacy. He appointed 234 judges to district courts, appeals courts, Supreme Court, and those, that is quite a long legacy there when we talk about that.
Yeah, 6-3 conservative majority on the Supreme Court, and a legacy that will certainly last a decade, 2, maybe 3. You know, but when you talk about his accomplishments, the economy, for sure. I mean, through tax cuts, deregulation, we saw a robust economy before the coronavirus, but then you have to talk about the handling of the coronavirus by the White House. Overseeing vaccine development within months, which was great, but really downplayed the impact of the virus and downplayed the use of masks, ignored safety guidelines. Many staff, you know, contracted the virus. But his refusal to concede the election, Brandy, and making baseless claims he won it, furthering conspiracy theories, inciting that armed crowd that attacked our U.S. Capitol. And he will be impeached twice. First president ever, maybe convicted this time around, and barred from pursuing public office again with the Senate under Democratic control for the first time under 2015. Hard to see this legacy, to your point, Brandy, much past that insurrection.
Yeah, and truth has always been a problem with this president, and I think really the GOP has some decisions to make about what it's going to do moving forward and how does it separate itself from what the president did, particularly since Election Day. And we actually quickly, we want to head over to Travis. I think he's tracking Biden this morning as well, because we now have these two things happening simultaneously. Travis?
Yeah, we're actually watching a live shot right now outside Blair House, which is the official guest residence of the White House. And we actually are just watching the motorcade leave. I think we can take this live shot. That is Blair House there across from the White House. You're seeing the last bit of it actually leave there. We're now waiting. There's the arrival, the beginning there of the arrival of the motorcade as the Bidens do arrive here at the church, and they're expecting to be at the church this morning for morning worship, and we are told that they're going to be joined by both Republican and Democratic leadership from the Congress at this hour. We know there's the limousine there that we believe is carrying the president-elect and the soon-to-be First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden. You can see the security detail as well. So, obviously, previously, traditionally, we have seen the outgoing president and the incoming president together, on the morning, but that's obviously not what we're watching at this moment. So that is Joe Biden arriving at the church for church service this morning.
Okay, so we will continue to follow that, and we have much more coverage leading up to the inauguration ceremony today. Special coverage from Fox begins at 8 o'clock this morning. Joe Biden will be sworn in as the 46th president around 9 o'clock this morning. You can watch it all right here on Q13 Fox.